Well, there's some things that just aren't within your control, to be honest. So, hmm, right. Yep. Yep. And I talked to the son whose name's escaping me. I apologize. I think it might be. Yeah. I spoke with him before I spoke with you just to get permission to be able to call you and make arrangements for the time. So, um, yeah. If listen, well, I'll get my people there as early as I can. Like if we plan for 6:30 and we have to slide to the right, then we'll. Okay. That might that might actually be easier to give them 7 o'clock and then have 6:45 as a right. Exactly. And then I can get them coordinated. Okay. Okay. So, sounds like a plan. All right, Jared. Thanks a lot for the call back, and I'll be in touch if I have any other questions. All right, thanks, sir. Bye bye. Kid sounds like he's fucking 12.
We are live, by the way.
Yeah, well, I saw that. Yeah, I'm making Masonic funeral service arrangements, and you're busting my fucking balls.
I wasn't busting your balls. I was just saying.
I'm sure somebody is.
Well, that's what they do. That's.
In the meantime, I'm going to slide this over because this thing has a huge footprint.
Yeah, it does.
Fuck with the height of my chair. I feel like the chair is not the right height. What is happening? I'm losing my fucking mind, Jason.
It's altogether possible.
I gotta get my notes open.
It's fine.
Of which I actually have some.
Oh, good. Yeah, I got 3 pages.
Nice. So much good stuff to talk about with this thing.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
Making of Ep1. All right.
Look here.
Look there. Oh, hang on. One more phone call to make. Who is this? Yes, I know Jared. I called you back.
His name is Jared. Eating at Subway. What?
See, I feel like that'd be a real thing. What is happening?
I don't know.
So too many moving parts right now. Am I even in the picture?
Let me verify. Yes.
Hey, I'm getting ready to do the podcast with Jason. Is everything okay? All right. Well, we're live right now and it should be done. I just got here. We should probably be done in about an hour and a half. And then I'll let you know on our way home. Okay? Love you. Bye. I don't know. Just gonna... All right, honey.
She can hear you.
I can't. There's way too much fucking shit going on right now.
The camera's right there.
Oh, God help me.
Poor Dave. This is the chaos that is his life.
Yeah.
And he goes right to the pill popping.
All of the pills.
I'm curious as to why you wait until you get here to take your pills. Don't you take them in the morning, or aren't you supposed to? Or...
I take pills throughout the day, Jason.
Oh.
Like it is a nonstop cycle of waking up, taking pills, taking more pills, sleeping, waking up, doing it again.
Yeah. It's something. At least you
It's something.
at least you get to sleep.
Well, no, the fact is I'm out of my fucking sleeping meds, so I haven't been sleeping.
Oh.
Yeah, that's been pretty awesome. So I'm basically running on pure adrenaline.
Oh man. Well, that should make for a great episode.
All right. So
I got notes. I switched the order, like I said. Though my toast ties more into the later topic.
whatevs.
Yeah, just because the Jedi Fallen Order and the Lego Star Wars thing are fresh, fresh topics. So I figure we'll hit those first, then we'll bore them with the personal talk, and then we'll jump into the making of.
Okay.
See.
3PO. Date of birth 1928. 81? 91. 91. Right?
What are we talking about?
How old this man was. Passed away. I'm legitimately working on like 8 things at once right now.
I can tell.
So 2019, not 2019 minus 19.
Do you guys see the holocron? Does it look good?
18 at no, Dave. What? Minus 19, 28. 91. All right. Fucking math.
All right. So, hello to everybody in the chat, by the way. Tom, Scott, Isaac, Big Lovin', Shotgun Mark, Ben.
Didn't we tell him specifically don't go in the chat?
Well, I just told him don't spam the chat.
Oh,
okay. I mean, you can say things every once in a while.
All right, well.
You wrote R.I.P. Dave. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Oh, probably because because he's bad mouthing his wife live on the air.
I'm not bad mouthing her. I'm just scratching my head as to why right now. Let's do 30 seconds silence. Let's just get it over with.
So we're just doing it live. We're just starting.
Yeah,
rolling right into
what do we? Are we pre-gaming? What's happening?
Oh, I've just been waiting for you, man.
Just go.
All right, stop preparing. Just go.
Just go.
All right, 30 seconds of silence starting now. To the winds of change, may they forever keep blowing.
Winds of change.
That didn't quite have the clang that I was expecting.
More like a thud.
Yeah, because I'm drinking out of an actual mug, like a cast iron mug kind of thing. Didn't sound well beating against the glass. But anyway, hello everyone, and welcome back to All Things Star Wars, the greatest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. I'm Mr. Jason Roscom. With me here each and every single week, the Darth Vader to my Palpatine, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I am in fucking full chaos mode right now.
Yeah, I can tell you, but you look like you've got it all together. You got the laptop here, you got the iPad here.
It's all about keeping up appearances.
You're making deals. Yeah. So
unfortunately, nothing fun, but whatever.
Yeah. So normally our opening toast kind of rolls into the first thing that we talk about, but it's going to be more relevant as we progress through the show. But until then, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the it's called The Beginning, right?
Yeah.
The Beginning. It's the documentary, the 1 hour and change long documentary about the making of Episode 1.
Right.
Our previous episode, us speaking to Episode 1 based on the 20th anniversary.
Just kill me if it was the 40th.
Jesus Christ. So after the 20th anniversary, and we've made reference to the documentary. So like, hey, why don't we talk about the documentary?
Yeah. We talked about it multiple times on the show. And I think we even mentioned during our Phantom Menace 20-year retrospective, The Beginning deserves its own separate episode because there's so much going on in this thing.
Yeah.
So we are doing that this week after we get through a whole bunch of other business. So jumping right into it, we are midway through E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, which used to be a big deal for me personally because I used to be a huge video gamer, as by my racks of video games and consoles over here.
Racks and stacks.
Yeah, over the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, it hasn't really been my thing. Obviously, we still play Battlefront on the Xbox One. I have an Xbox One. I have a PS4, but I'm not nearly as big of a gamer as I used to be, just mostly due to time constraints and lack of adulting. Adulting, lack of attention too. Can't really focus on video games that much like the way I was able to before. So, but it is going on and it is relevant to us because we had a couple of Star Wars tidbits thrown out there. First, and probably more important, though I don't know, I bet the other story is more important to you, is the Jedi Fallen Order. We finally got some gameplay footage this week. Holy shit, Dave's phone's blowing up. I just see bling, 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 bling.
Just ignore it.
But yeah, we saw our first gameplay footage of Jedi Fallen Order, and you did not get a chance to see it?
I've seen, I saw like the beginning snippet of it, and then I got into something else and then wasn't able to come back to it.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole like half hour
it's
demonstration or whatever.
Like I saw the video and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna see like a 3-minute clip. No, it was this whole thing. I'm like, nope, sorry, don't have time for this right now.
Yeah, big thing that came out of it that, as you can probably guess, I'm not too thrilled about is the return of Saw Gerrera, one of my least favorite characters in the entire Star Wars universe, is back, voiced again by Forrest Whitaker in this Jedi Fallen Order. It's like, whatever, man. Just don't be too annoying. Not Rogue One annoying, at least.
Oh, yeah. I guess it really depends on how much they decide to incorporate the character. I mean, they've have him incorporated in the novels, obviously, and I don't know. It could go horribly wrong, or it could be part of like some of the more, action sequences.
Sure.
Where they're interacting with that particular band of the rebellion.
Yeah, and because he's actually an important figure in canon between the 2 TV series and Rogue One, we could be getting some good storyline in here, some canon story. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes with that. The gameplay. I thought the gameplay reveal was interesting because a lot of people felt the same way I did, but had different reactions than probably the way I felt. Because watching the gameplay, I'm thinking like, oh God, this is The Force Unleashed. It's exact same style of gameplay. It looks exactly the same gameplay wise. You're using force powers, you're fucking chucking your lightsaber, you're jumping around like a fucking crazy person. And everything I'm seeing reminds me of Force Unleashed. And I'm like, this is fucking great because I love The Force Unleashed.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah,
it really is. And the story is excellent.
Yeah. And I'm like, ooh, I could get into this. And of course, you get online where it's nothing but just fucking people spewing hatred at whatever comes their way. And it's fucking like all these guys, oh, this is just the fucking Force Unleashed, fuck this game, and all that. I'm like, what the fuck do you want?
Yeah,
really?
How much do you honestly believe? Like, yeah, the Force Unleashed was fun.
Yeah,
there's a lot of really fun games that they just keep making and making and making. Like, how many Final Fantasy games did they make?
A lot.
I mean, what the fuck? So like, you either play it or you don't. I don't give a fuck. They're making the game, regardless of some fucking jackwagon who's on the goddamn on Twitter complaining about it. They're going to make the fucking game.
True.
Like they're not looking at fucking Big Dong 69 going like, oh well, he doesn't think this is a good idea.
Yeah, fucking scrap the whole thing.
Yeah, should we do it? Yeah.
Pay no attention to these millions of dollars we've already spent in 2 years of development. No.
All the development and all the other shit. Yeah. No. We're just gonna fucking fuck it.
So it's one of those things where we kind of make comparisons to things like The Last Jedi. It's like, okay, you may not have liked it, but it's our canon. It's a movie in the series, whether you like it or not. So you can try to accept it or, just sit there and cry all day. Yeah. But one thing though, that really kind of struck a chord with me in this whole demonstration was the graphics. It looks fucking great.
Yeah.
Graphically, it's like right up there with the top Xbox games right now.
The few snippets that I saw, the game. Excuse me. Oh shit, dude. Oh, excuse me. The game actually looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
So they have huge shoes to fill. Like we still play Battlefront. to me, Battlefront is actually better graphics wise than Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Like some of the detail work and some of the interaction with the environment
Sure.
is better than it was in Battlefront 2. And if it just keeps improving from that standpoint, then it's going to be so immersive. You can't help but just get entirely involved in what's going on in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's it's got that look of Star Wars. Now, did you catch the snippet? There was like actually a new trailer, like a gameplay trailer that they released with it. Did you see the AT-ATs walking through the swamp? Oh god, that such a cool scene. You gotta like fire that up when we're done here.
Yeah.
But yeah, this new trailer starts with these AT-ATs, and they're like trudging through this like swamp area. One of them's like knee deep in the shit. He's got like fucking like weeds and shit all dangling from the AT-AT as it's trying to get. I want to know the context of this. Like, what the fuck are they doing there? Where are they? It almost looks like Dagobah.
Yeah, stomping around through Dagobah.
Yeah, kind of looking for Yoda. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I mean, there was no way I wasn't going to buy this anyway, and now this just kind of solidified it. This now is like, oh, if there's like some sort of super collector's edition, $80 gimmick that's got like a little statuette and something else in it, I'm like, yeah, I might buy that.
I'm just buying the online version. I'll just do the online download.
Yeah,
I don't need all the extra special stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing people were crying about is no dark side option. It's a single player game that we knew. You're this fucking Jedi that survived the purge,
right?
But I guess some people were kind of hoping you could take a dark path in your journeys. But in a linear style game like this, it really doesn't lend itself to that kind of a thing.
No, it's not. Yeah, no, I don't know what people were expecting. I mean, it's not going to be Old Republic style where like you can
light side and dark side choices.
Yeah, so then you make yourself more dark side or more light side. It's just not going to happen. Not with something like this.
Yeah.
Unless it's a huge open world game, and then
but that's definitely not this. This seems definitely very linear, mission based.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but also give us our open world game at some point, EA. That being said, there was another Star Wars game that was announced that I don't know if we knew was coming, but we saw the trailer for the next Lego Star Wars game.
I just saw that after I think Tom had posted it. Bronco Fett had posted something, and I saw it come across like my watch, but I wasn't able to play it while I was on the course today. So I haven't looked at it yet.
Oh shit! So you're way behind.
I'm way behind.
Oh my god! I think Dave's gonna fall asleep live on the air.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's the complete saga. It's they claim it's a whole new game, so it's not like the previous Lego Star Wars games where they had like Episode 4, 5, and 6, and then they combined them into one game. The Star Wars Trilogy Edition, where it was just each game back to back. I don't think it's like that. I think it's all new stuff, and it was announced for next year, so at some point in 2020, which makes sense because if it has Rise of Skywalker content in it, they don't want it to come out before the movie comes out. True. So they, or
if they wanted to have Rise of Skywalker content, then be able to be relevant for the closeout of kind of everything.
Sure, but I guess the Fallen Order is going to kind of fill those shoes as far as like the game that's going to release around the same time as the movie and blah blah blah.
All this shit needs to happen sooner.
Yes,
like I need Thrawn to come out.
That's coming soon. That's next month now.
Yeah, I can't fucking believe it's July.
Well, it will be July next month.
It might as well be. It might as well be fucking September right now, the way things are going.
Yeah, it's time's moving very quickly, and this shit's all going to get here because we're going to get Thrawn, and then we're going to start getting the countdown to fucking Rise of Skywalker.
We'll actually see another trailer.
Yeah, I'm guessing we'll see one more trailer, and that'll be in October on a Monday Night Football, as per the last couple of movies.
Brutal to wait that long, but yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, that's my guess. I could be wrong.
Speaking of football.
Oh yes, so if you listened to last week's episode, or well, 2 weeks ago, we'll get to that. Our last episode to completion, you heard Dave struggling at the end to remember what the hell it was he was going to say. He had started a sentence.
Oh yeah,
we got kind of sidetracked, and then he struggled for a good 5 minutes live on the air to remember what it was that he was trying to say.
And how long after we shut off did I remember? Minutes.
Yeah, minutes. So, and it was about fantasy football because we mentioned this last football season that we wanted to do an all things Star Wars family fantasy football league.
Yep.
So that's coming. I don't know when we got to start actually taking down names and actually creating the league.
Well, you got to figure you try and do the draft as close to the first week of the season as possible. That
Yeah.
way, roster
Preseason
moves,
injuries and
injuries, roster moves, all that shit happens and is
Yeah.
done. So probably, I would think before the end of this month, we should have rules established, like how big the league is going to be and that type of framework. We need to have that shit established.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we can set a draft date and just work towards that. We can, I mean, what I think would be fun is just to do like live stream the draft.
Ooh, that would
So
be good.
as we're sitting here, we can be bullshitting,
Yeah.
and you know, busting balls on everybody,
Yeah.
you know, while we're live drafting.
Mock Solsky for picking Ben Roethlisberger with his first pick or something like that. You know, not that you would do that, Don, but
yeah, why would he pick Ben Roethlisberger?
I don't know, but that's why we would laugh at him.
He would probably pick
like
Tom Brady or something like that.
Well,
you know, being a Michigan thing, and also probably being one of the best quarterbacks ever. But whatever.
One of these days, he's going to hit a wall. You would think.
You
right?
would think.
Like
what day is that going to be?
I don't know. Like I fully expected him to pull the plug after this last Super Bowl win. Honestly, like that would have been perfect. You go out with a fucking Super Bowl win, kind of like Elway did with back-to-back Super Bowls, and then just be like, "I'm out."
This motherfucker.
But no, Brady's gonna drag this shit out. But I mean, he's got a track record, so
he's gonna Brett Favre it, and he's got a lot more wins than Brett Favre.
That is true, and
especially in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man.
Anyway.
So if you're interested in the All Things Star Wars Fantasy Football League, first you got to join the private Facebook group.
Yes.
So get in there because that's where we're going to be posting all of this shit, I'm sure.
Yes.
So we'll eventually start a thread here probably in the next week or two.
Yes.
Looking for names, like who's all interested, and kind of get a feel for what types of rule sets people are into. But I am going to say this. We are going to limit the number of teams. We're not doing no 20 fucking team league. I can tell you that right fucking now because those things are a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is.
I'm thinking we're going to top out at like 14, right? Did
we even go as high as 14?
I mean, even 12 would be.
Well, let's get interest first.
Sure.
And say, all right, listen, if you're interested in doing it, we need to know by the end of this month. So we're currently sitting here in the first weekend or second weekend of June, right?
Yeah,
so you got
the 10th.
So we got basically within the next 3 weeks.
Yep.
Say, okay, let us know if you're interested in getting in, and then we'll start establishing criteria. And I don't know, we'll just have to, have people arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Or do some sort of feats of strength. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
And I will say preferential treatment will go to all of our regulars. So pretty much if you're in this chat right now, you're in if you want to be. So
yeah, exactly.
You know who you are. So,
the lucky few.
Yes. So, all right, moving on.
And before we get too far on that, did you see this? Like in the chat, we're talking about it. Like I hate having this giant computer because I feel like I'm hiding behind it. But
why are we talking about Nambla in the fucking chat?
Okay.
Oh my God.
Never mind the Nambla part.
What's wrong with you people?
National Association of Marlon Brando lookalikes.
That's 2 deep South Park references in one episode already.
Anyway, they're talking about, I guess they might strike. There's something with the you'll get one season out of it. NFLPA is saying it will strike without a new collective agreement. So
fuck, we're getting up to that already?
Apparently.
Huh.
So whatever. That is so far out of my sphere of control. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean,
yeah. A bunch of millionaires arguing with a bunch of billionaires.
You know what's
who
funny?
Gets more money.
This is from myself as an Eagles fan, right? Let's segue into the sports side of the All Things Star Wars podcast, which invariably is going to take us deep into Dave getting in trouble territory.
Oh God.
No, think about it. Dave, think about it. You just lost your train of thought, you fuckhead.
The strike, Players Association, using Eagles.
No, all right. So Eagles fans, right? So there's I think I've gone on record as saying that like some of the if you listen to the Philadelphia like local radio stations, like the sports radio, like, and I don't know how it is other parts of the country, but some of the people that call into these sports radio stations are fucking morons. They're absolute just dingleberry eating morons. And one of these guys who's on the morning show right? This guy on YSP, one of the local stations, right?
Has a voice. He talks like this. He talks like it's the worst thing ever.
Like, dude, like, shut the fuck up. Like, you should not be on radio with that fucking voice, first of all.
Right.
And then everything is sensationalized, right? It's just like any other media. So, Phillies recently had one of the better players, Andrew McCutchen, went out for the rest of the season with an ACL injury. And what allegedly the air quote fans are saying is that it was the number 2 hitter's fault because he was the leadoff hitter. The number 2 hitter's fault because he didn't bust it out of the box, and which caused a rundown to happen. And then because the rundown happened, he blew out his knee. And so the manager of the team, Gabe Kapler, the manager of the team, who I don't necessarily like how he manages the team, but they're playing well, so I don't really have room to talk.
Yeah.
They fucking decide they're going to like call him out, and this moron, this talking head, it's like this, right? He's going to call out on their morning phone call with the Phillies manager, and he's like, oh well, what are you going to do about this issue with him not getting a box? It's like that had nothing to do with the injury. It's like, well, explain that to me and all the Phillies fans. And the manager, Gabe Kapler, was like, you don't represent all the fans. And so then this guy goes, well, on a Twitter poll that we ran, 85% of the people say that was Segura's fault. Segura is the number 2 hitter. And then Gabe Kapler starts to get into him about, listen, you are talking about a very specific part of your audience that responds to your social media polls and calls into your show, not the entire fan base, right? So good on Gabe Kapler for calling out this fucking moron.
Yeah.
And 2, stop. I don't listen to the shows. Like, if that shit hadn't popped up on Facebook, like that this shit was going on, I would have had no idea because I don't fucking listen to them because they're idiots. It's all sensationalized. There's like a couple of rational people on there that were, oh, by the way, professional fucking athletes. They're there to be like, yeah, I played the game. This is what I thought coming from that perspective. Yes. I want player perspective. I want like, this is kind of what the locker room would feel like in that scenario because you did it at the highest level, not some fucking dickbag with a fucking cock stuck in his throat who decides at fucking 8 in the morning he's going to argue with the fucking manager of a goddamn professional baseball team.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. And you're going to just keep slapping yourself on the back for what a good fucking job you're doing. Oh God, that shit just drives me crazy.
This was not a planned part of the show. We just happened to deviate a little bit.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where you talk about the argument between these professional athletes and everything else. Like, it's so far to think that I have exert any influence with my fandom over a fucking team, ever a $1 billion franchise is ludicrous. Like, I feel like I'm I'm a huge fan, but just like you watching Game of Thrones or you watching the 49 or something like that, I'm gaining entertainment value from it.
Sure.
I'm not moving that mountain. Like me by myself, I'm not moving that mountain. And I could protest and do whatever I want if I feel there's some fucking injustice. But the reality is that this is entertainment.
Yeah.
That's all it is entertainment. It's opportunities for people with amazing athletic ability to go and perform those athletic abilities in front of all of us. And then we're there to enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, don't watch. Nobody's fucking forcing you.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Kristen's been watching soccer lately. A lot of women's soccer.
It's the Women's World Cup.
Yeah. And
just started.
Apparently, like one of the best fucking soccer players in the world, female soccer players.
She's not playing.
Well, I guess she lives like right here in Medford.
You're talking about Carly Lloyd?
I don't fucking know. One of these lesbian looking bitches.
Zach Ertz's wife plays for the national team, U.S. national team, Julie Ertz. Yeah. Fun fact.
That's cool.
And Carly Lloyd, she played, like, grew up in like the Cinnaminson area.
Yeah.
Like playing soccer here in a lot of these places. So.
But yeah, she was showing me some fucking special on this chick that they were running it. She was walking through Medford Lakes. I'm like, oh, I know where that is.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal, Jason.
I guess.
Like, you uncultured swine. Like it is.
There's again, the whole penguins. My iceberg isn't very big. Okay. So it does not have a lot of room for a lot of penguins. So
it's called nationalistic pride. Whether you like fucking soccer Like I enjoyed playing soccer. I'm not a fan of watching it,
Mhm.
but when it comes to the national team playing against the rest of the world, I want to see the USA fucking absolutely dominate. I want it to be unfair. I want to put the dream team out there.
America.
Yeah, America. I want the fucking best NBA players playing against the fucking schleps of the rest of the fucking world. Yeah, because I want to assert my fucking dominance. Like fucking big American dick theory. Like, yeah, fuck you. And if you want to be better, then get better players.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. But while we continue to be the best, then oh well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like when the men's national team and the women's national team play, it's a big deal. It's America.
All right, fair enough. So anyway, this was the unplanned sports section of the All Things Star Wars podcast.
Sorry.
Now we're going to move into.
I was sporting all day.
Yeah, and if you're only here for the Star Wars content, then you probably want to skip ahead another 20 minutes or so because we got some other stuff we got to get through.
Okay.
So this is the point where we normally talk about our week. We're going to kind of change it up a little bit, only because current events, the winds of change. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show,
he's going completely off script because I have no idea what he's talking about. This thing is going bananas.
What is?
I dripped fucking water on this, and now it's like.
Did you just break your laptop?
I think it's okay. It's just water. It'll dry.
Water never hurt any electronics, so
not permanently.
Anyway, so yeah, as I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the show with the toast, the winds of change are blowing, and we've been kind of having some brief discussions about the future of the show, be it this started when you brought up the idea of a Patreon. Because we've been doing this for a couple of years now. We've been paying for the hosting service for a couple of years now, for the exception being that brief period of time where we were on, what was the name of that service again?
I don't know, fucking Audio Decks or something.
Oh, Audio Stack. Yeah. When we were on Audio Stack, it was a free thing. It was like an upstart company, and they were like, yeah, we'll fucking host anybody for free for now.
They jerked Jason off, and they gave us free hosting for a couple months, and then it turned to shit.
Yeah, like everything like went terrible. Like I couldn't upload files anymore. Like their whole website just like went to garbage. So we went back to Libsyn, and it cost money for that.
Yep.
Obviously, we never went into this like looking to make money at all. I mean, at least I don't think I did.
I wouldn't be doing this shit for 2 years if we're trying to make money.
Right, exactly. So, and
at least let me put it this way. If we went into this looking to make money and we've done it for 2 years and not made any money, our business model sucks. We really should rethink our business model. But just like the United States Air Force, we're not here to make money. So
so fuck it. But no, that and this talk about possibly doing a Patreon, which we still might be doing, is kind of coinciding with me and Kristen kind of starting to make more future plans, because we've sat here through your retirement from the military on the show as you've gone through it over the last 2 years, and now exactly 2 years from right now, I'm going to be going through the same thing. And a lot goes into this, and I'm starting to look ahead, and I'm starting to plan. Well, where exactly do I want to be? What do I want to do? And this is an argument that Kristen and I have been having for a couple years now as to where we want to end up. Because I have no real roots here in New Jersey beyond, my wife. And I mentioned it earlier a couple months ago when both of my grandparents passed, and I'm starting to feel that pull to go back home to California.
Right.
And that's kind of still where my heart is right now. So Kristen and I have had a lot of discussions. We came to somewhat of an understanding, as much as can be in this situation, because obviously she doesn't want to leave the East Coast because this is where she's from.
Right.
But she acquiesced a little bit and agreed that, it is. And we decided, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to retire, and I'm going to prep. I'm going to put all my efforts right now into finishing college, because I still haven't finished my bachelor's degree, getting some more certifications, some more tech certifications, and, really kind of hunkering down on our spending and start paying off a lot of our debt. Because we got a lot of credit card debt and bullshit that you acquire as an adult.
Yeah.
When you own a house and then shit breaks and you're like, well, fuck, I don't have $3,000 cash to fix this fucking thing. So, all right.
Like you do.
Yeah. So, we're going to start working on doing that. And if we if we leave here, we got to get the house ready to sell. So that's a lot more money we're going to have to throw into the house and everything else. Anyway, long story short, we're cutting our budget severely, which kind of ties in with the whole paying for the hosting service, right?
Right.
So like all extraneous spending's got to go for us. Because I laid down a budget, like a 2-year budget to pay off a majority of our debt and to still put a bunch of money away. So we have a decent savings for when I retire, just in case, don't fall into a job right away. And again, the time I'm going to be going back to college starting next month and, studying for certifications and everything else. So that being said, it's going to affect the show because my time is going to be limited. Your time's already been limited pretty much this whole calendar year between the new job and the Grandmaster and
Worshipful Master, not Grandmaster.
Right.
Let's not promote you.
All of that stuff. So
Right.
like you've already been out time wise, and now I'm about to hit that same kind of a wall for free time. And then with the spending cuts, it's going to be really hard to justify paying the amount that I'm paying now to keep the hosting up and running for the show. So that being said, some changes are going to have to happen. We haven't actually sat down and had a one-on-one conversation
Like
about
I said,
this yet.
He's railroading me with this right now.
It's been in the notes for 2 days.
The notes.
Yeah.
Jason.
And this is what I have to fucking deal with.
The notes for 2 days. He's funny.
Anyway, so that's it. And we've talked about the Patreon thing. We've also talked about, or at least I've briefly mentioned, doing fewer episodes.
Yeah, and I like I said, I think this is everything that you're doing is exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right. You can't let think that things are just going to happen because we've watched it. You and I personally have watched it with individuals that have gone into retirement less than prepared.
Yeah.
And we've also seen people that have gone into retirement really prepared and done very well.
Mm.
And obviously you want to be on the right side of that.
Sure.
So all these things that you're doing, you absolutely have to do. And but that being said, sometimes you got to make rooms for the funds.
Oh, of course.
So we have to, we're not going to not do the show.
No. And
I'm going to make
I hope it didn't sound that way.
I'm going to make him do. Well, I don't want people out there panicking. I can see the memes starting already. But I think the reality is, even like Jason said, I want to do this. I really, really want to do this, and I want it to be a driver of my schedule. And unfortunately, it's this year in particular has been fucking insane. It's doing the Worshipful Master gig is like I said, before we got on the air, you may have heard me on the phone, because I have responsibilities, that are significant. Yeah. And it's not just it's not your normal non-paying part-time job. It's more like a 42 to 45 hour a week non-paying job.
Yeah, which you're already working a full-time job,
and you're working a full-time job, and
I'm
doing.
Sure, your wife expects you to spend some time with her.
Yeah, obviously, as per the way the phone call was going today. So, see, big love and scared, but I think it's good to have this conversation on the air because some people hey, we seem like we have our shit together, probably, and. It's all about preparation.
Sure.
It's about preparing for the next step and having savings. Because I'll be honest with you, if we hadn't saved the way we did right before I retired, and then to not get my retirement for that long and not have a job, we would have been homeless.
Yeah, and
we would have been fucking homeless.
I kind of had your example to build on because you're the closest person that I've ever been with that's gone through a retirement like this.
Yeah,
and watching the ass picking that you had to go through. Yeah, initially it's like, oh fuck, I better make sure that.
And you prep for the worst and hope for the best.
Sure,
and that's the situation you'll be in. So you should never. I doubt you do, but you should never feel guilty about planning for shit like that because that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's your responsibility.
Oh yeah.
But hang on. apparently, if we cut down on episodes and content, I will go on a hunger strike and pull in my testicular sack. That was in the chat. So while I appreciate that level of enthusiasm, we're gonna work out a solid plan. I think you have to bear with us for episodically. Sure. If we're not getting something out every week, to the number, it's because shit's happening.
Life.
Yeah. And honestly, we could come on here and pretty easily do 90 minutes about absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah.
And which we've done. I mean, let's face it, we've made several episodes out of thin air.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
But we don't want to do that on a regular basis, and we want to be as look, it's a Star Wars podcast, and we talk for a while of non-Star Wars stuff, and then we get to Star Wars stuff. But the Star Wars stuff we do talk about, we want to be informed, and we want to have like valid reasons to go back and watch this stuff, because us being able to regurgitate it to you means that we got to spend some time in it and something that we love. So anyway, Big Lemon needs his blankie. But
and
Shotgun honestly, Mark's going to start pulling on his sack.
Well, his 18-year-old wife isn't going to appreciate that if he starts doing that.
No, I'm just not.
I'm sorry, fiance.
I'm just not.
But anyway,
drink now. All right. So,
and really, we're having this discussion live because we want to be transparent with you guys as to what we're going through, what we're talking about, and nothing's finalized. This is just kind of the beginnings of these discussions, I guess.
Because even say in the next couple of years, good Lord willing, we're still doing this in a couple of years, and we're still talking. We're have all this content coming out.
Have our 400th episode party.
It's like, oh my god! Yeah. And if you move to California, we have all this technology. Yeah. And we've proven we can do the show remotely, and I don't mind having friends located other parts of the country, because it gives me a reason to travel.
Yep.
And Kathy will appreciate it too.
And that takes me to one other. Were you finished with your thought, or do you want to?
Sure.
Okay. Because one thing that Kristen and I have always been talking about is, what's the end game, right? Like best case scenario, right? What happens in the absolute best case scenario, and then start lowering your expectations from there.
Right.
My thing was, what my best case scenario is at this point? I retire and move into a very nice, cushy cybersecurity job in Anaheim, and buy a house in Anaheim, like, I don't know, a mile from Disneyland. That's my end game right now. I've actually been on Zillow over the last, month or so, looking at fucking house prices in Anaheim, in and around the Disneyland area. And you know what? That's the goal. And you know what? If I have to taper my expectations down from there, I will. If I have to move farther out to like Visalia or somewhere closer to Bakersfield, where I'm from, so be it. But that's what I'm shooting for at this point. I've already been looking at job openings, like cybersecurity job openings in Anaheim. Disney hires like motherfuckers in cybersecurity. Now they want a lot of like higher shit, bachelor's degree, managerial experience, and all that, which, with any luck, I'll have all of that stuff by the time I get out. But yeah, that's my goal right now.
Remind me to talk to you about the corporate fellowship.
Okay.
That exists out there.
Okay.
For retirement. Write that down. Like for reals.
Corporate fellowship?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a way to you'd be basically interning for a corporation while you're still active duty. And then like the hiring rate is like above, I think 75% for people that like get into this program. There's somebody in my squadron right now that's doing that.
No shit.
So,
okay.
Anyway,
to be continued.
Be continued.
So if everything goes 100% according to Jason's plan, I might move to Anaheim. I might live just a couple miles from fucking Disneyland. So it could be.
You better have a big ass house.
It could be party at Mr. Roscom's, followed by, trots over to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge every day. So we'll see.
He's going to get a job as a cast member. That's what he's going to do. He's going to
do that.
I think I would too.
Supplement that with my retirement pay.
If they had if they could have a cast member that's like the wounded, the wounded stormtrooper, I could just like hang in the back of the formation, or like drive the truck behind the formation. Because what people don't realize is that for all those scenes you see with like even army units, their fitness levels or whatever, but I can't speak to the Marines, but there's usually a chase wagon, right? For people that fall out of formation or whatever, like if they legit can't fucking go on, they fucking throw them in the back of this truck. Well, I'd be the stormtrooper driving that fucking truck.
Nice.
Like I'll drive behind the formation and whatever, wear the helmet, and
that'd be great.
That would be fucking awesome.
But yeah, I've been following a couple of bloggers that they live in Anaheim and they have season passes to Disneyland, and that's how they spend their evenings. They get home from work and they're like, oh, I'm going to go down to the park for a couple hours. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah, that'd be
That
cool.
is the perfect life for me. So I go to work all day, come home, change, see the family, and be like, let's go to the park for a couple hours today, and just go ride Tower of Terror.
Didn't they change that? I
Star
thought they said
Tours. Oh yeah,
something else.
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
Star Tours, and then we'll come home, have dinner, and then call it a night.
Is Jason's microphone off or something not picking him up properly?
Uh-oh.
Hello. No, we're getting good number. We're getting good balance.
Maybe I'm just too far away. Sorry.
Maybe he's getting a case of the leans.
Thanks
for the feedback, though.
The audio version will fix that. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's what we've been kind of talking about. Nothing's for sure. The only thing that's for sure is that nothing's for sure, as Steve Borden would say. So,
all right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
More to follow. More to follow, peeps.
Yeah. Do you have anything else?
We're here for you. No.
Oh, and I do want to say, if YouTube caves and bans Steven Crowder's channel, then I'm done with YouTube. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Moving on.
I have no idea. I'm so out of the loop, as it were.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it.
All right. So, the beginning.
The beginning.
Yes. So,
I got to tell you, I'm so glad that we're doing this, because I've legit referenced this documentary probably more than I've actually referenced the Phantom Menace.
Sure.
At any given time.
Yeah.
Because it is such a good, like, 30,000 foot view of George Lucas and how he operates his vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I've read the making of the original trilogy. You know, I've read all those interactive, books. I had them on my iPhone or iPad, and you're able to go through and listen to interviews and shit like that. You're listening to, back in the 70s when George was coming up with all this, it was all this stuff was in its infancy, right? Mm-hmm. Everything was the camera work, the imagery,
we're talking the original
story,
trilogy.
The original.
Okay.
So everything was kind of like new, and he had credibility, but not quite really, he was kind of still finding his way. He had different directors and producers and everything else. So when you get to the Phantom Menace, I think what you're seeing, and especially like a documentary like this, is you're seeing really how George Lucas thinks.
Yeah.
And how he wanted this movie to look.
Yep.
Like, you can 100% say whatever you will about the Phantom Menace. Like, there's the hate and the hate more, and then there's the fuck me right in the face. Whatever you want to say about that, like, when you see something like this and it's such a close look at the process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it, it starts right away with besides the 60 minutes interview part in the very beginning.
Well, that was telling, though. That was a great way to start this, because George has this quote right in the beginning where this is like a marriage. Mm-hmm. Because for him, in the role that he plays, and especially in all of these prequel movies, he's the writer, director, co-producer, and obviously the visionary, the guy that came up with all of this. And he's got to commit years of his life every fucking day to this thing.
Yep. 2, 3 years, 4 years, and then you got to do it 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think with Phantom Menace, that it was like 4 years from the time that he started writing the script to release day. And then even after that, now with the DVD, you've got all the extras that you have to put together, mm-hmm. the menus and all that. And this fucking extra was first released on the DVD release of Phantom Menace in October 16th of 2001 is when that came out on DVD. It was the first Star Wars movie to ever come out on DVD. So
that's right.
And this is when DVD was still kind of in its infancy. I adopted it in like 97. But most of the rest of the dummies of the country weren't adopting it until the early 2000s.
This is a guy who grew up with a Betamax.
Whatever. But
he learned his lesson, obviously.
Yeah. And it was my family's lesson, not mine. It's not like fucking 10-year-old Jason was going out buying a fucking VHS player or a Betamax player. Anyway.
Don't let the truth get in the way of the story, Jason.
Okay, that's a good point. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because DVD was still young and people were still trying to figure out, okay, what is the good amount of extras to add into this stuff? Mm-hmm. Some DVDs came out like fucking bare bones, like nothing but the goddamn movie. There's like, okay, here's the trailer. Here's like a couple of, fun trivia notes. And there's that. And then Lucas, he went all fucking out deleted scenes. There's like 7 deleted scenes. Obviously the beginning, the documentary,
Right.
and then all kinds of other shit. But the fact that this ended up as just an extra on a DVD when it's probably one of the best pieces of Star Wars ever made, it's real kind of.
It honestly, it's what takes you from enjoying the movie to understanding what Star Wars really is, like understanding all of it. I think you can't be ignorant to what's going on in the Star Wars universe without seeing this, because like I said, I truly believe that you're glimpsing into George's process in this. And I'll say it a few times as we talk about talk about the documentary, is there was genuine reaction and seeing George, like you kind of, and I've seen this fucking documentary probably a dozen times, right?
Yeah.
So but you see it, and you see, like, sometimes you pick up these little nuances, like, George will like demonstrate like a walk or something like that, and he'll be like fucking flopping his arms like he's doing a Jar Jar walk, right? And he's like walking around flopping his arms and shit. He's just like, and people are just watching like, okay, that's what he wants. And he even says it in the documentary when he talks about, you're really only gonna hear from me like, action. You're gonna hear.
I wrote a note about that. Well, because faster, more intense. He's like, I've mastered the faster, more intense, which is funny because that's a callback to the original trilogy. Because one thing that I've seen in a lot of interviews with like Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, is that George doesn't give much direction. All he ever says is faster and more intense.
Faster and more intense. And
like they all said that in like separate interviews. And Lucas makes a joke about it in here. He's like,
he knows. Even watching it, because the fact is, I rewatched it while I was waiting before teeing off for this this charity event I was in today, and I got about 45 minutes into it, and that's when I was like taking notes, and just I really, you can't hate Lucas.
No, especially after watching this.
Yeah, and you just, it's one of those things like, oh, George is ruining blah 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 blah. Yeah, you got to be careful with shit like that. You have to understand that this is something that he lives and breathes. Like, what's the I didn't write it down. There's a quote that he makes when they're sitting there and they're in that first read through of the script, and he jokes how he's like, after we're done here, I'm going to actually finish writing it. They're introducing themselves, and he says, hi, I'm George, I'm the reason you all are here, or some shit like that. It's just like, it's so fucking true. So it turns into,
well, and this is kind of skipping ahead because towards the end of the doc we get the John Williams part, where he visits John Williams as he's conducting the score and everything. I've talked about since the beginning of this podcast how the one thing that Disney is lacking in this new trilogy and just in Lucasfilm in general is that visionary, that person who can see 2 fucking movies ahead.
3PO.
All right. Because as Lucas is sitting here talking to John Williams, as he's still working on the conducting and the performing of Duel of the Fates, John's like, well, maybe we should try one without the chorus. And George is like, no, we need the chorus because there's going to be a callback to this in episode 3 when we have this other final battle. Right. And, I want the theme from that to kind of mirror this a little bit, or kind of be an echo of this, have a lot of the same elements, because it's going to kind of come full circle. You don't get that with this new trilogy right now, but Lucas knew, even when they were in the middle of making episode 1, exactly where this fucking story was going to go. And the fact that even like the minute details of like pieces of the score were going to carry over to that third movie, that just shows his vision and his dedication to this franchise and to this whole movie trilogy.
Yeah. And that vision, where I think the documentary, after a little 60 minutes bit in the beginning, you see him, I forget what the timeline was, but it was like so many, so much time before
before the release.
So they had those storyboards, and he's basically with the highlighters going.
Yeah, that was actually 5 months before they started filming.
5 months
with the storyboards.
So he had the storyboards. He's like, okay, this is going to be real. That's going to be CGI. Blah 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 blah. And like even the term CGI wasn't
right,
because I think they described it as animated. They didn't even call it CGI.
Yeah,
like they're inventing CGI basically as we're doing this.
Yeah, and the head of ILM, he's like, I don't know how the fuck we're gonna do the shots, you know, but we'll
They'll
figure it out.
The looks between two people as they're like, yeah, this is real, this is not. And the first time I saw this documentary, we usually go into these things with like, where were we when we first saw it? I don't even remember, honestly. Yeah. I don't remember the first time seeing it. I think somebody told me it was that, because I hadn't watched it on the DVD. I had the DVD. I hadn't watched it on there. I saw it on YouTube for the first time I saw it. I was like, holy fuck, where's this been? Like, dude, it
was right here.
Yeah.
It was here all along.
It's right. But just I didn't realize how much of it was still real. Because one of my issues with episode 1 from the beginning was, I think there's too much CGI.
Right.
It's too much of George trying to, push the window into a whole new dimension.
Right. Which by the time we got to episode 3, I think we were at that point. But yeah, I agree with you. I didn't realize how much there were practical effects in this, like that look CG. Like there was one towards the end where it's the fucking Naboo starfighter. They've got it on fucking strings and they're zipping it down right towards the camera. I'm like, I just assumed all of that space shit was all CG.
No, there was a shiny fucking model for it. Even like, I'm sure we're going to talk about it at length, but all the lightsaber fighting, like that was like jumping between the platforms and everything. Like, oh fuck, I'm so fucking tired.
I can tell.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So all right, I have notes here, and I'm going to go down some of my notes because
your notes, and
I think some of these are really good because we talked about the 5 months before filming, and filming started 2 years before the movie was fucking released.
Yep.
So keep that in your cross checks. We're talking, almost 3 years before the movie is fucking released. They're going through the storyboard going, this is going to be CG, this is going to be live action and all that. And he knew this far ahead before they ever fucking turned on a camera that the pod race was going to be huge. He mentioned that as they were going through the storyboard. It's like, people are going to be fucking exhausted by the end of this pod race because it's going to be so big, so much going on, so many moving parts that, we're going to have to bring it up a notch when we get to the end, when we get to the triple battle and the lightsabers and all of that. So he knew that the pod race was, everything was going to ride on that. He also had a quote about Jar Jar. He's like, Jar Jar is the most important piece to this. He brings the whole story together. And I think that is where you kind of get the idea for that's why a majority of this movie failed, at least in the quality, because of Jar Jar, because he was tied into so much.
Yeah.
And Lucas knew it. He knew he was going to be following our crew around. He was going to eventually be the guy that brought them back to the Gungans, and fucking they all merge and had this big battle at the end.
Well, I think the other part of that too is he said, like, they're just talking about, not only how integral Jar Jar was, but how he's going to be a funnier character than we've ever seen.
Yes.
Like he said that straight away. So you knew going into it, like he wrote a script with Jar Jar being Jar Jar. So much so, like, as I referred to earlier, you see George like walking around like, this is how Jar Jar walks.
Yeah. And that translated to, Ahmed Best actually performing like that.
That's how he did it.
And really there was nothing wrong with that. It was just
that was his voice. That was the
Ahmed Best,
that guy's voice. And I think the fast forwarding to why is the movie so like just seemed to fall on its face, besides the Jar Jar bit, as I think that we took for granted so much about the characters and how they were developed and everything else, but I can't look at like the Jake Lloyd, right?
That was a big thing. This
is a big thing. It's like, it's not Jake Lloyd's fault that George wrote that dialogue. He tested. This is what they wanted. They wanted his voice inflection. They wanted how he spoke. He was chosen for that.
Right. But honestly, like, I don't know if you felt the same way. Watching the auditions, I thought that other blonde kid would have been a better choice.
Yeah, like, well, they showed that, like, here's what he looks compared to Luke Skywalker.
Well, yeah, and just like his performance in that audition too. Like Jake Lloyd, he fucked that audition up. Like,
he did.
If they'd been adults, the director would have been next.
But we also don't know how much they actually did. Like, this is the little snippet we saw of the thing. So I'm gonna try, and again, this is me giving people the benefit of the doubt, because you're seeing a side into it that you wouldn't ordinarily see,
Right.
because it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
That being said, how young was Natalie Portman?
I was thinking
when
the
she
same
was
thing.
fucking testing for that's my
Because-
first note. Look at my first note.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Natalie Portman was young.
Yes. Because, you know, we think of Natalie Portman now, like, oh, she's fucking hot. You know,
Yeah.
even go like thinking back to episode 2 and 3, like, yeah, this Natalie Portman is a fucking kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. She was
I'm like,
not even
this-
close to being
this
legal.
feels weird, you know, because, you know, I love the person that she eventually becomes, but seeing her as a child now, it's like, no.
Oh
it's
no,
just
I'm
fucking-
just dirty. I'm a dirty old man.
Yeah, this isn't right.
So, but yeah, holy fuck, was she young?
She was.
And you could tell even by like George didn't know, like they knew who they wanted,
Mhm.
right? They knew they wanted Natalie Portman. They got her to be Amidala.
Yep.
And then, but George says it straight away. I guess it's after the first day of shooting. Like he didn't know how she was going to be.
Yeah, he wasn't sure what to expect. Yeah.
He said, and I quote, he learned a lot with Jake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you watch some of them on the actual set filming, and
Yeah.
like he's flubbing lines, he's not paying attention, and like, you know, you have to adjust around that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
It's
an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
he's a fucking child.
Yeah.
And whereas you have Natalie Portman, who, from all intents and purposes, how she was portrayed, like interacting on the set and everything, was just this bubbly fucking kid
Yeah.
who was like a teenager, however old she was.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
she
she
was
was-
also always really super smart, apparently. Like,
Yeah.
like she's a Harvard graduate, you know,
Yeah.
like super, super high speed intellectually.
Exactly.
So-
High speed, low drag
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Especially as a teenager. Anyway,
I don't know what that means.
What?
but-
what?
So yeah, the Anakin auditions I wrote, like, I would have picked that other kid because he had such a better audition, and who knows what the movie would have looked like. I mean, it still would have been the same Lucas dialogue. They again, I don't hate Jake Lloyd. I don't blame Jake Lloyd. It's
You don't. You're smart enough because you
Yeah.
have kids that
Yeah.
you'd see at this age. And like, yeah, they're awkward fucking kids.
Yeah.
And getting them to focus on any one thing, let alone an entire fucking thing of dialogue.
Mhm.
You know, okay, you know,
Yeah.
you spoon feed it and you get what you get. You take as many takes as you can.
yeah. All right, I want to talk about Rick McCallum for a minute because this
Rick
fucking
McCallum.
the producer.
Oh yeah. Eyebrows.
Sure.
Dude, his eyebrows. He had a unibrow. Like no shit. That's all I could look at for fucking first 10
Really?
minutes was this dude's fucking unibrow.
So yeah,
I'm like, hey, look, my shit's not great. I'm not the best looking human being in the world, but for fuck's sake, you're in movies. You're gonna be on this fucking documentary. I don't know. See somebody.
yeah, he's worked with Lucas on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles when he first came over to Lucasfilm, and then you know, he was the producer on all of the prequels. I'm watching this, and he always looks so fucking tired, so
Yeah.
fucking worn out because he's in charge of everything. Because you think about this production, like what went into creating this movie as we're watching over this hour and 6 minutes.
Yeah.
All of this shit that goes into making this movie. Rick McCallum is the guy in charge.
Yeah. You sit there and like, okay, we have a $50 million budget when they're
Yeah.
sitting down at that one meeting.
Yeah. yeah.
$50 million. And I'm just like, by today's numbers,
Oh,
it's not a
that's
thing.
Chump change.
but Rick McCallum and those guys sitting at the table making those decisions,
Mhm.
like they knew, and George said it out loud. It's like the next people that are going to do this, like we're going to do it, and then people are going to be doing this afterwards.
Yeah, everybody else is going to want to do
but
it.
they're not going to do it at these prices.
Yeah.
Like they knew that they were basically fucking doing the initial engineering.
Yeah, they
on
were
this
inventing the
project.
wheel, basically.
And everyone else is going to want to do this, and they need to make that product available. So not only was he making this movie, but I still get that flavor, even though I don't hate him as much for it, but I still get that flavor. Like this was a marketing tool for ILM. This was
Sure,
what was
yeah.
taking ILM and all the things that come after it. Like, you know, Scott had said in the chat, if it wasn't for George and ILM with the original trilogy and Phantom Menace, special effects in movies would suck today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
It was revolutionary for the time.
yeah, and they knew that. They knew it from a cost perspective. They knew it for what they were going to be doing with the movies, and this was a marketing tool for ILM.
Yeah.
But McCallum, like I think my favorite bits with him are in the very beginning when he's getting Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
He's on the fucking phone with
Well,
Ewan
and that's the
McGregor.
thing. Like he curses.
Oh, this
like,
is gonna be fucking great.
Yes, he curses like a fucking sailor throughout
Yep.
this whole thing. And the best is at the very end, the last scene when they're doing the fucking premiere, right? And Rick McCallum comes down on stage. There's fucking kids in the audience, like all these like hardcore Star Wars fans at the first showing. Rick McCallum, and again, like kids, like little like 5, 6, 7-year-old kids in the fucking audience. Rick McCallum gets up in front of the whole audience. He's like, "This is fucking great," and then everybody's like, "Yeah!" Like I like this guy.
Yeah.
But like when they went to Tunisia and they got, that fucking storm roll through. And then the next morning they're like getting a lay of the land. Like, oh God, what happened to the set? He's the one on the fucking walkie-talkie going, "This is fucked. The whole set is fucked. The fucking pod racers are fucked. This is grim. Fuck, So yeah, he had quite the foul mouth on him. My kind of guy. But no, he like watching this and watching him in this makes me never want to have anything to do with the movie industry ever, because the amount of pressure that he was probably under this whole time, like I'm shocked he's still alive. I looked it up yesterday because I'm like, is this guy still alive? Because I would not be surprised to find out that he dropped dead like 2 years after the prequels were done.
Do a bunch of coke,
Yeah. Yeah. No, but he left Lucasfilm when the Disney buyout happened. And he's like apparently got his own little independent studio out in Prague now. And he's just like making indie movies out in fucking Prague. So good for him.
He's got Star Wars money. He can afford it.
He does.
So who was a yes man? I'm looking in the chat. Somebody being a yes man. Was that fucking McCollum? Unibrow?
Not necessarily, because I think all it was like his job was basically to make what George wanted to happen. We want
George. Yeah. George wants this. We need to make it happen.
If anybody is a yes person, it was probably like, I don't know if anybody even like tried to help him with the script or like the ILM people, like, because it was a lot of George dictating to the ILM guys. Like, I want this, this, and this. I want this to look like this. You guys have to do this and all that. They were probably the yes men. But...
Maybe, but yeah, McCollum is what Big Lovin says. Yeah, he's a douchebag.
What?
Yeah,
no way.
And he said he never said no. Hey, I can only base any interaction with what we saw in this documentary. There might be some more to it,
sure,
that we're not really taking into context, but in the context of this documentary, that's kind of what I formulated my opinion about it. So whatever. Is he? Well,
I mean,
what is it? What's the term? Accept a satchel of Richards or something like what's the
well, I mean, the role of the producer is to again make the shit happen. The only thing that he really could have argued with Lucas about was the casting choices. Like if he really didn't think Jake Lloyd was gonna work out, he could have pushed Lucas for that other kid. But like I don't think the producer has anything to do with the script.
Probably not. I think the one as we're talking about it now, I think they could have made a decision about, okay, are we animating all of Jar Jar or just the top parts and shit like that?
Well,
I think that wasted a lot of time of that, but it was cool to see the process.
Yeah, it was. And also they were kind of learning as they went. Like again, this was all brand new. So they had to kind of figure it out. And yes, they wasted some money along the way, but even the ILM guy said, all right, even though we're going to do them full CG and we're not going to use the costume, we learned a lot by having this and trying to do this.
Right.
So I don't know. I think I think it was worth them doing that,
probably
like putting him in the costume and just either reanimating the head versus doing the whole body. And they said, yeah, doing the whole body is much cheaper.
Yeah.
So
like fucking what George say is $1 million not spent is $1 million earned.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And that's what you're talking about, like snippets of like how much this time was when they talked about the 2000 fucking battle droids and Gungans and everything else fighting each other. Like apparently that had never been done. And the fucking dude at ILM was like, I know I have a reputation for being a pain in the ass, but I don't know that can be done.
Yeah.
Like, yes, absolutely, dude. Be the guy sitting there like, hey, no, anybody, maybe this is what maybe it is what you wish that the producer would do, but yeah, am I going to be the guy here to give the fucking reality check?
Yeah.
So speaking of reality checks,
yeah,
Jason has to pee.
I do. Before we get any deeper, because I got more notes, so we're gonna pause mid topic just because I got to piss like a motherfucker.
Word.
But we will be back right after this word from our sponsors.
when you got to move the sign slower because it doesn't get picked up in the camera. How can you live in a world after the DC Universe movies and honestly believe that producers don't have an effect on the script? I don't know. Because I'm ignorant to it. I'm not. Look, Dave is not a like inside movie guy. Dave is like this is what's on the screen. This is what hits me in the face kind of guy. And Star Wars is probably the deepest I'll ever go into movies. And I'm not even like I don't give a fuck. Like I'm just one of those people that's like, I don't care like who is at one end of the product as long as I enjoy the product. Does that make sense? Refer to my Kate Smith rant, for like whatever. But I don't know. It's just fucking. It is what it is. I've got 7 updates ready to install in my computer, and we're going to go ahead and remind later on that. Oh, wow, God, how long have we been talking? Anyway, fuck, I'm getting so much trouble. Better?
Much. Do you need to go, or are we just gonna hop
No,
back
I'm
into
good.
it? All right,
Good.
give me some silence. Starting now. And we're back. My God, I'm trying to do silence, and I'm hearing the fucking train and something else going on. A fucking dog barking.
It's trains, planes, and automobiles going on. They're like in his yard, basically.
And there's a fucking fly buzzing right by my ear, going. Like, Jesus, man. So okay, so the lightsaber rehearsals. Awesome stuff.
Oh my God.
When they were just using these like aluminum rods to do the lightsaber battles, but it was Ewan McGregor and Ray Park just fucking going out. They were doing the exact same motions as you see in the movie. Like, I'm recognizing all the fucking moves
at speed too. It's like, I'm sure there at some point they gradually worked into that.
Sure.
But it looked like Ewan McGregor was a fucking sword wielding motherfucker.
Well, did you notice the fucking shiner on Ray Park in that scene too? It's like, so you got to wonder how he got that. Was it like early in rehearsal where Ewan McGregor's not quite, hitting his marks and just fucking whack, nails him right in the fucking face? Like, that had to have happened because, Ray Park is, I guess, was or is a stuntman, and that's kind of like how he got into this.
Right.
He was a swordsman and a stuntman, and that's how he ended up landing this role. But yeah, watching them do these fucking, lightsaber practices was fucking awesome.
Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, and what's funny is so it starts with Liam Neeson, and they're going kind of slow, whatever. And then the cut shot is to fucking Ewan and Ray Park going at it, and they're like, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And then the fucking dude takes the damn aluminum lightsaber and like goes and puts it into a set piece and bends it back.
Yeah, because it's all fucking bent out of shape. Yep.
That transitions right into like one of the other just fucking erection inducing fucking parts of this was Ewan McGregor getting to select a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Is there nothing better than watching a fan get to do like the ultimate thing for their fandom?
Yeah.
Like he's like a Star Wars fan, right? Ewan McGregor, like you could tell he just his dick is hard the entire fucking time they're prepping this movie.
Yeah.
Like he fell down, like he fell off a thing into a pad and he fucking gets up and he's like, he says some shit.
I can tell you exactly what he says. He's like, so he lands in that thing. This is while they're filming the actual real filming, and he falls down and he's like, do you want to do Star Wars? They said, you're fucking right.
And he gets up and it goes.
Yeah.
Dude, it was fucking great. It was fucking great to just see that wonderment. Like, oh my God, I'm in a fucking Star Wars movie.
And yeah, I get to pick his own lightsaber.
And he gets to pick his own hilt for his lightsaber. They talk about the colors, like, all right, what color is it going to be? All that shit. And it's this sword fight, this duel, I think is probably the most intense duel, because while the Vader and Luke in Empire was intense, it was really one-sided.
Sure.
Right. there was no real like just this volley of parries and everything else having to happen. They weren't on equal footing.
Right.
And alternatively, Luke was so, to Dave Martin's opinion, he was channeling so much of the dark side to defeat Vader and Jedi.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't a fair fight.
Yeah.
So, and then you had the Emperor obviously pouring into one side or the other, and Luke pulling it out at the end. But this is the first time you see like equals, like an actual lightsaber duel, where you have people that can fight each other and match each other.
Yep.
You don't see that in Star Wars.
Yeah, at least you hadn't up to this point.
Up until this point.
Yeah.
And they fucking did just God, just nap.
Yeah.
Where's the fucking what's Stan's dad's name?
Mr. Marsh. Fuck.
Oh.
Damn it. We've had 2 South Park references on the show, but we can't remember Stan's dad's name.
Oh, fuck. Randy. You see Randy's like on the couch and there's fucking splooge everywhere. Like, insert that meme here.
Yeah. So they did the table read, which I found interesting because Liam Neeson wasn't there for the table read. They had somebody else reading for Qui-Gon, and they had somebody else reading for Samuel L. Jackson. Like, I don't know if he came in late in the production, but I think he was a late addition to the cast. I think it was like he kind of promoted himself to Lucas to try to get into Star Wars. Because I think initially, like, honestly, from what I recall from the stories back in the day, was like when he heard that they were making fucking episode 1, he called Lucas. He's like, I want to be in your Star Wars movie. And this was when he was at like the height of his popularity the first time around, like after fucking Die Hard 3, Pulp Fiction, Jurassic Park, all these other shit. He's like, he pimped himself to George Lucas. He's like, dude, put me in your movie. And I'm pretty sure the story goes like Lucas was like, all right, well, I'll put you on the Jedi Council. You'll just be like this background player. And it wasn't until later when he became more of an important part of the story that Lucas started, using the character.
Because I'm sure Samuel L. Jackson was like, okay, I'm here. Now let's make me relevant.
Yeah.
Let me get my foot in the door. And now I'm gonna do some shit.
And he was also the reason why he had the purple lightsaber, because he fucking told Lucas specifically, I want a purple lightsaber. And Lucas is like, all right.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Yeah. So Samuel L. Jackson did a good job of
getting himself
promoting himself and getting himself into the movie. So
Simon pegging his way into the fucking movie.
Exactly. Then we get to the first day of shooting. We talked about it a little bit. It was all like I guess the first couple of weeks of shooting was all at like the little Naboo embassy on Coruscant, like all the scenes that they shot in there. And it started off with
all the Ian McDermott stuff.
Yeah, with him and fucking Darth Maul on the balcony. That was like the first scene that they shot. And Rick McCallum gets up there with his little clippy thing, and he's like, let's kick some ass. Boom. And then they fucking started action and they rolled the first take. So yeah, that was really cool to see them starting that.
We were talking a little bit about when he went to take a piss. The fact of the matter is, you're looking at this, and this is the only time I'll actually go and look this much behind a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Or any movie.
Well, I'll say, like, if they had documentaries like this for all the Star Wars movies, I'd watch them all.
Sure.
Because it's such a deep look at this process, like how this movie came about, start to finish. And, they did a good job of condensing it into an hour and 6 minutes because...
Oh, I'm sure they had to cut a lot out of it.
Oh, yeah, because it's a lot of shit that went into making this fucking movie. But you get that feeling, even in the short documentary, just how much work went into this fucking thing. So... Anyway, we did the first day of shooting. Just going through the rest of my notes here. Oh, here's the note. Do you want to do Star Wars? They said. Yeah, fucking right. Jake Lloyd sucks, and I only say that in an acting perspective. His performance was. Oh god, then we got to Tunisia, and they were like, they really focused on like the temperature there, like 8 a.m, 104 fucking degrees. I'm like, God. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, we've been out in those deserts. You know how fucking hot it is. It's just fucking ridiculous. And I can't imagine, like, in the beginning, before we got to Tunisia, they were putting on some of the robotic masks and shit like that. Oh, let me rewind real quick. So they were fitting one of the Gungans
I think you're talking the Nemoidian.
Nemoidian. What'd I say?
Exaggerated dialogue.
Exaggerated dialogue. That's exactly what I put. Like, say it. Exaggerated dialogue. Right? It's like, okay, yeah, that's pretty much that could be the title of this fucking of this entire trilogy. Exaggerated dialogue. Yeah. I had to get back to that. Oh, and by the way, so when Ewan McGregor shows up and they're like, he's introduced himself or whatever, and he can't be more Scottish.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
And so they're cutting his hair. Like, did you hear George telling his daughter not to take so much hair? Like, she took some of his hair.
Oh, I totally missed that.
My note is, did George Lucas's daughter take Ewan McGregor's hair?
I wouldn't be surprised.
But it's honestly. And you hear him say to her, like, all right, not that much.
Wow.
Like, okay. So that's right now,
Lucas's daughter has like a fucking Ziploc full of Ewan McGregor's like
fucking
hair.
weird, man.
He had a great mane too when he walked in. Nice long red Scottish hair.
And thank fucking God, because this is the first time we really see Padawans too, right?
Yeah.
So thank fucking God they didn't do the two long fucking
braids.
Because George is like, it's the detail stuff. You can overdo it, and then you're gonna like, George, you're over fucking doing it. Right now.
Yeah, so somebody told him at some point.
Heed your words, because right now those fucking two long ass fucking cords coming off of his fucking brainstem. Yeah. No. Jesus Christ. No, honey, don't stop picking up his hair.
Somebody had to say no to Lucas. So he was surrounded by a lot of yes men, but somebody had to say, dude, that looks fucking ridiculous. Cut that shit off. So thankfully he did. There is this one scene, we're getting back to Tunisia, when it was 135 degrees in the middle of the day. And Ahmed Best, Jar Jar, he's kind of like sitting under a tarp, and he's got this fucking hottie who's like fanning him. Like, you only see her for a second, but you look over and this is fucking hot broad, like fanning him. And I'm like, oh man, it's good to be Jar Jar.
Yeah, right. Like, just, I'm so hot. You got to keep doing that.
Yeah, keep going.
You know what? You're making me hot with all those clothes on. Can you take some of that off?
Yeah. Yes. So then we get to the storm. Everything is fucked. Rick McCallum even says, like, all right, I chartered a fucking plane to get the cast out of here because we don't need them sitting around for a couple of weeks while we clean the shit up and, be miserable out here. So yeah, they chartered the whole cast away from Tunisia at that point, while they rebuilt the whole fucking the sets. Like, the pods got destroyed, all of the little market area got wrecked.
Holy fuck, when they were showing those little cut scenes with I'm overusing the word cutscene, but they're showing those little scenes like when they're building the physical like items, like the set pieces and the pods and shit like that, and they're making Star Wars out of nothing.
Yeah,
like, holy fuck, you guys they're so fucking. I mean, I know I have. I'm pretty sure you've seen it, but like the actual like miniatures that they used for the filming, like in the how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's the level of detail that they went into in those original miniatures with the fucking, because they were zooming in. The tight shots were of the actual miniature.
Yeah,
to get those tight shots, so the detail had to be that fucking good, and so. They show like, okay, this is what the fucking battle droid looks like, right? And then they show them making a small model of the battle droid, and then they fucking, I'm jumping back a little bit, but then you got Steven Spielberg when George is explaining all that shit to Steven Spielberg, and there's a fucking battle droid.
And it's a life-size battle droid.
Life-size, just what they look like, and fucking Spielberg's trying to monkey fuck the damn arm back in. George's like, no, because it's
backwards. Yeah, that's
But just the shit like that, to watch it go from from the drawing to the miniature to the fucking actual thing, and like, it was a CGI. The battle droids were, the majority of it was CGI, but there was actual representations of battle droids.
Yeah, you got to have that concept. So.
Yeah, and so those physical things of like, it's legitimately the making of Star Wars. It's like watching the guys in the background put the set pieces together, painting the things, doing the lighting.
Yeah. Because watch when they're filming the lightsaber battles. I noticed there's fucking all kinds of crazy lights all over the ceiling, and we skipped over this part, but they took an old Rolls-Royce factory in England and they converted that to a fucking stage. And Rick McCallum mentioned we've got 3 teams working, in shifts, 24 hours a day to build these fucking sets. And it's like, God damn, so much work going into this.
Making the pod racers, making the battle droids, making just the big set pieces, making the all the scenes. At How fucking awesome would it be to be on a fucking Star Wars set?
It would be
I mean-
awesome, but I mean, it would probably be hard fucking work at the same time.
No. I mean, like us being able to see it like Kevin Smith style. Right?
Oh, just go
like
visit the
show up
set.
and just be like,
Yeah.
like Star Wars is like basically being pushed through the vagina right in front of you. You're like, oh my god,
That's quite the visual. Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm a little punchy.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm kind of tired.
Lot of pod race behind the scenes in this.
Yeah.
Between, the filming of Jake Lloyd in the pod, the constantly going over the backgrounds that you're seeing when they're doing the pod race, to like the fucking, the production of the pods themselves, and then animating the fucking pods. It seemed like this was kind of what Lucas built a lot of the movie around. Was he knew this pod race was going to be big, and we saw so much in the way behind the scenes. Like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
That went into just making that pod race. And then we got a really interesting scene with George basically directing in the editing room. And he was sitting there with his editor and his CG guy, and he's looking at different shots that they made, and they're like, okay, well, can you just cut this fucking actor out of this scene, but leave the rest good, because the rest was good, and then we'll fucking superimpose him from a different scene that we filmed in this. So, we got the good take of these three people here, and then the good take of this one guy. We'll combine it into one scene. And the guy's like, yeah, this has never been done before, directing in the editing room, basically. But he's like, this is the way movies are going.
Yeah, and I feel like that's probably, it's so commonplace now.
Yeah.
With most of the, I mean, think about what took the most time for Star Wars, like in our most recent memories, right? It's the primary shooting is finished fairly early. It's getting the CGI and the editing all done. That takes a huge amount of time. That's probably why trailers take so long. Although I think if you were trying to hype Star Wars, excuse me. Oh, that's how you're tired, even though you're like in mid sentence and just rip. I think if you were trying to oh, we got to market the shit out of this movie, there'd be more trailers and shit like that. But because it's Star Wars, they
don't have to.
They can get away with it.
Yeah, fucking all the nerds are going to buy the tickets regardless. So
just so they can hate on it on fucking social media.
Yeah.
What again? Going back to it, our conversation earlier, like I thought about it based on that fucking exchange with the local Philly guy. I'm like, it's a propaganda notwithstanding, because obviously it's a huge propaganda tool, but it's so, as much as prolific as social media is, it's still not accounting for. Do you think it's accounting for 60% of the people out there?
Not even.
So how to fucking I wonder, and there's still people in this even in this country that aren't so they're not watching Twitter. They're not getting fuck, what do I have on my phone right now? Look at all this shit.
Well, and that's why it's referred to as living in a bubble. These people, they get into this bubble on Twitter, and they think that that's just how the whole world works. It's like everything that everybody's saying in this one app, in this one little sphere, that's how everybody thinks. And then Donald Trump wins an election, and you're like, what the hell? But everybody hates him. Everybody loved Hillary. I don't understand. The world exists outside of your little Twitter bubble.
And that's where it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy when it comes to that. And people just have to bear in mind, as important as social media is, and nobody's saying it's not important.
Sure.
But for something like Star Wars, it's really important, but it's still not the 100%. That representation of a fan on Twitter is not a representation of an entire fan base. Right.
Which is why I kind of blew off all those people that were complaining about the video game.
Yeah. Because fuck them.
Yeah.
Twatter bubble. I like that. Fucking twatter bubble.
Yeah. We had a really good scene with Frank Oz, where he comes back as Yoda doing the puppeteering and all that.
It's a shame that puppet sucks so bad.
Yeah. I mean, Frank Oz is a fucking genius.
Yeah.
Great voice actor, great puppeteer.
They probably, I can imagine in the moment, because you think of how much money, armchair quarterback, and you look back and go that looked really, really good when we were doing it, because it was right in front of us. And then after you go back and look at it and go we probably shouldn't have even gone with that. But
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, they fixed it. That's one of the special edition
Yeah.
fixes that was meaningful.
And that was the thing in this documentary. Frank Oz even said to Lucas, because Lucas was showing him like footage from the rest of the movie, and you know, he was marveling at the CG, and he's like, "You don't need me anymore." This is Frank Oz saying that.
Yeah.
You know, and George is like, "Well, we always need you." But that was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because one movie later, Yoda is all CG at this point.
Yeah.
So there is no puppeteering.
Because what are you? How the fuck would you have a puppet jumping off the fucking walls in a lightsaber battle?
It's not possible.
Did you ever in your life before you saw episode 2 think that you're going to see Yoda fucking wield a lightsaber?
No, that's why
Never.
when I saw it on opening night in theaters and Yoda did that, the whole theater went fucking nuts.
Yeah, it went nuts because like, holy shit, look at the little fucker.
Yeah.
Right.
It was something that like this character we were so familiar with, but we'd never seen him in this environment before. And
we saw him as just an old beaten man.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Alien.
So
I don't know. I can't think of it right now.
Getting towards the end, we get to where they view the rough cut of the movie. This was kind of telling because they go in there and it starts and then it goes to the end, and you can see the looks on some people's faces, like especially Rick McCallum. Even George Lucas said at one point as they were having their little post-movie conversation, like, I might have gone too far with some of these things.
Yes.
You know, so even he realized like, oh, okay, maybe some of this wasn't exactly as I envisioned.
Right.
But now I think they were talking more about like, you know, just like how fast paced it is. Like it, you know, because they really harped on that. It's like beat to beat to beat. Qui-Gon dies, and then you're immediately like back into the palace, and they're shooting guns and stuff, and you don't have time to mourn. And but you know, we don't really have the full context of what the conversation was.
Right.
But just Lucas going, "Ooh, I might have gone too far."
And honestly, I think, you know, millions of voices crying out. You think if this came out, social media wasn't the way it is now. So you're probably getting a much more realistic reaction.
Yeah.
And yeah, you did. Yeah, you went too far, dude. So now you know where well, let's face it, he knew where the F limit was, and it hasn't gone back there since. So we can be thankful for that. But he also hasn't directed anything since episode 3. But each one of those got progressively better.
Sure. Yeah.
And from a generalized movie standpoint, you know, the Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman interactions, but whatever. Which
we need to. Somebody mentioned before in the in our Facebook group that as we get closer to Rise of Skywalker, we should just go through the whole fucking Skywalker saga, movie by movie. We've already done episode 1.
Yeah.
Might as well just pick up episode 2 next, sit down, take some notes, and kind of do a deep analysis like this. So that's future Dave and Jason problems. We already talked about John Williams. That whole thing was brilliant. Just seeing them doing the like live recording, like the fucking chorus for Duel of the Fates and all that. It was just really cool seeing the process.
Oh God, I get goosebumps thinking about it. But like just being in the room when that stuff is being played with the movie kind of like going, like, so he's getting an idea and like writing and like all these things are kind of happening, like, and hearing it for the first time, you got to imagine that would like it had the appropriate impact.
Yeah,
because it's motherfucking John Williams.
Yeah.
All right. So whatever. B, putting it in the context with the movie, not just some of the best music ever, but putting it in the context with the movie, with the weight that it has. Just, I agree with that sentiment of like Qui-Gon's death is a perfect example. Like you probably could have waited a few beats because that was it was a big deal.
Sure.
Like you just killed off a fairly major player.
Right. Yeah. He was the guy who was driving the whole story in this movie.
And then done.
Yeah.
Like you're done. Like, I'm done.
Yep. So I already talked about the premiere. So we get to see like all of these news stories and everything, people lining up to go see episode 1, the people going into the first showing, like they cut the guy's ticket. The first guy that was in line, he fucking kisses the ground and then sprints off. And, you know, it goes back because I remember this, man. I know we've got some younger folk in our listener base who may not be, or who are probably too young to remember, but I remember all this hype around episode
Mhm.
1. It was fucking huge. And regardless of how it ended up, I mean, this was a big deal. This was the first event like this that we had had in a long fucking time,
Yeah.
because the Star Wars trilogy was never replicated after it had its run, ended in 83. People tried to replicate it, but you didn't have anything like that until we came around to episode 1 again, and everybody's like, fucking Star Wars is back, god damn it, I'm so excited.
And well, we've talked about it before, but the warm up in '97 going into putting it in theaters, the special editions in theaters, was it just gave people a good like, yeah, all right, fuck Star Wars, all right.
Yeah. Which is crazy to think about that, because based on the timeline in this fucking documentary, like they started work on episode 1 long before the fucking special editions ever came out.
Yeah.
So they did the special editions while they were doing like pre-production and early production on the Phantom Menace, which is crazy to think about.
It makes you wonder, like, I'm willing to bet that George, it might actually be documented, because now as I'm saying this, I think I might have read it somewhere, is that, all right, here's a CG element. Well, you know what? This element would go really well in this. Why don't we work on that? Have somebody work on that. And so we're going to be working on this, and then work on this for special editions. It had to have happened, because there's too much overlap there.
Right. Well, think about Jabba. You had Jabba the Hutt in the special edition of episode 4, and he was in episode 1.
Yeah.
So he was animated. He was like doing his little fucking slug thing. It's whatever, it's the validity of that. We'll discuss it another time. But
Hutt is not to scale.
But it was, Jabba in both of those, and it was that CG Jabba. So it might have been the same fucking CG model they were working on in episode 1. They just copied and pasted it into their episode 4 special edition fucking computer. Speaking of the computers, did you notice, like, did you catch like some of the old fucking like gateway fucking computers and shit in the background?
The high speed computers of the day. Holy shit.
And it's like, oh my God, how did they make these movies on fucking those computers that this thing has more horsepower?
Oh yeah, that thing has
than all of those fucking computers in that
horsepower.
Documentary.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
All those graphics driven, like, well, let's face it, that's one of the things. Mac was really like, you don't see Macs in this, but like Mac in the early 2000s was developing itself as, hey, this is what artists use because of the simplicity in its operating system.
Sure.
So you're able to take more of the horsepower and actually devote it to doing stuff with it, as opposed to just loading itself. Because let's face it, like any nerd that's out there knows that whether you love Windows or don't, most of this computer is built to run Windows.
Sure. Yeah.
That's it. Like, so all of the RAM, all of the fucking, this Core i3 in this particular laptop, like if it's running itself, it's just in the background to run Windows.
Yep.
So, and make Windows look like it's running faster when really in the background it's going, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then people wonder, like, oh, I clicked on this and it came open right away. It's awesome. But then, it slows way to fuck down because it's trying to catch up.
Yeah. Solsky said that was his idea for us to do all of the
all the movies again.
All the movies, yeah.
That's what I typed in the chat. I've gotten myself to the point now where, like, when I look at the camera, I'm looking generally like level, and then kind of focusing my eyes, look at the camera. So I don't know. It probably looks like I'm stoned if if somebody's watching, because I'm not really looking, and then I suddenly look.
They saw you pop all your pills at the beginning of the show. So
those pills do not do those things. I wish they did.
Yeah.
I enjoy myself fucking 100 more times than I do.
Yeah. So that's all of my notes I had for this. I don't know if you had anything else that we didn't talk about.
I pretty much interjected all the stuff that I had taken. Watching a lightsaber practice, just hours of just watching that. The one thing I watched the beginning like I was watching a whole nother movie, and it just had that feeling to it. So the movie I was watching about episode 1 was more like, it wasn't episode 1 I was talking about. Does that make sense? Like,
sure, yeah.
So because in the making of it made me understand and appreciate, like, the movie that they were making didn't necessarily run in parallel to the movie that they made.
Right.
So it's one of those things where you can really appreciate the artistry, the product, the
work that went into it,
the amount of work, that just the brilliance of George Lucas and what his vision is. This is his vision for this fucking product.
Yep.
You know, like it or not, this is George created all this. And I think somebody said in the chat earlier, I think it was Bronco Fett, you know, he did, you know, George created all this. It is the reason that we're all here.
Yep.
And so you got to give the guy fucking credit. He like, he had a vision and he fucking strove for it.
Yep.
Whether that vision was like, you know, sometimes they're not all fucking home runs. Sometimes you got to hit a fucking base hit.
Yep.
Whatever. It's still a base hit. You got a runner on board. Baseball analogies. Go.
And honestly, you know, again, armchair quarterbacking this whole thing. I've said it before. I think the biggest flaw that Lucas made was directing and writing it himself, because that's where you normally get a separation of church and state. You know, you got one guy writing the script and then a director taking the script and going, okay, I like this. Let's change this dialogue up a little bit. We're going to change the actor's performance a little bit just to kind of make it sound a little bit more natural. You know, he didn't have that. Like the yes man to George Lucas was George Lucas. Yeah, because
absolutely was,
because he wore both hats in this case.
So, have you listened to the Dooku book? Obviously, because we've talked about it. Yes. Have you done the Master and Commander one yet?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you're doing on your drive.
Trying to stay awake.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Audiobook that thing. I'm almost finished Master and Commander. We need to talk about that, because I say that in context to this, because the idea is gone. It's gone. It's gone.
Talking about episode 2 next, maybe?
No.
Tying into the greater story. How it ties into Dooku Jedi Lost. Dooku Jedi Lost.
What did you just say?
I said Dooku Jedi Lost. I don't know.
Wow. How many heinies did you have?
3.
Oh, that's good.
But yes, we do need a topic for next time. However, I'm just going to go.
You haven't even started Master and Commander, so you're not going to have that done in any reasonable amount of time.
I would think that if we're going to be like chugging through the prequels, because
we could do episode 2 next.
Yeah, we could do episode 2 next, and then follow that with Master and Commander.
Sure.
And kind of because we're somehow this all naturally happened where we're like stuck in the prequel era for a lot of our recent episodes, and it wasn't done on purpose. It's just
it helps the 20th anniversary of episode 1 in this time frame. So we're kind of using that to our advantage. But yeah. But fucking get on Master and Commander.
I will.
People are listening going, what the fuck is Master and Commander?
Master and Apprentice, for those of you who aren't in the know. So but yeah, that's
our podcast. We make things up as we go.
That is, we have our normal bits, and that's one of them now. To close up the beginning though, phenomenal documentary.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that kind of an inside look into a movie's production very often. And the fact that it happened in a Star Wars movie, and a Star Wars movie this important, like, it came at the exact right time. And it's on fucking YouTube. It's on the Star Wars official YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, for some fucking reason,
you should see it.
And don't listen to our show. Like, seriously. Because...
They may be new listeners. They may be new listeners. Right, maybe they need this direction. We're here to mentor them in the Star Wars world.
I will do it now.
Yeah, do it. And you'll do it.
Yep.
Do it.
So we got some things on the docket. As far as the future changes to the show that we might have alluded to in the beginning.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, we'll do it live. And if nothing else, we'll post stuff in the private Facebook group. So join that if you haven't been already.
Do it. Get in the Facebook group, especially if you want to be a part of the fantasy football, which is we're going to be finalizing that here within the next month.
Yep.
So that we can draft and have the rules set and everything else. That's going to happen. What did we talk about? We were going to do live? Oh, the draft. So we can do the draft and do all that. We'll do it live. Do it live.
Yes. Which that'll be great. That'll be fun.
That will be fun. We do multiple drafts at one time, so we'd be like drafting this thing over here.
Well, I haven't done a fantasy football league in a couple of years now, so
it's good.
It'll be my first league.
Take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Hey-o. So, but that's it.
All right.
And thanks everybody for watching and listening and all that good stuff.
Hit the like button.
Yes. Sorry about the 2-week delay, but shit happens.
It happens. It's mostly Dave's fault. In fact, I think it's all Dave's fault so far. But
no, I think I caused a little bit of the delay this week. So
this time,
I won't let you take the.
Oh, that's
whole
right.
call.
I because I was ready to go on Thursday, and you were not.
Right. Well, yeah, I had a date that night, so
Yeah, you did, and good on you.
yeah, it was the King of the Hill Day. The first Thursday of every month is King of the Hill Day at Iron Hill, which we try to go because we're members. See, club member.
Nice, very nice.
So
Gotta get Kathy over there.
yeah, it's good stuff. They had really good beers. Oh, like all the new beers, by the way, were baseball themed. It was a baseball themed new beer day, and like their home run beer, fucking great.
Yeah,
really good. I got a growler as we were leaving because I liked it that much.
Oh, that's the growler you got? I know you said.
Yeah,
I think you told me you got a growler.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Was that somebody else?
Well, I don't know.
That was probably you.
But it's gone now anyway. I finished it on Friday.
Bitch.
So anyway, that's
you got it on Thursday and finished it on Friday. Impressive.
Yeah. I don't have a problem. So all right, well, we're gonna close this up
anyway.
Now.
Finishing on a complete
yes, exactly. So thanks everyone for joining us and listening and watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And until next time, everyone else and Dave, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
There we go. That was better.
better.
Okay, now what do I click?